All right, today we're going to unpack the core arguments from a really provocative book by Sebastian Santisteban called Know the Only Truth. And let me tell you, this book makes some seriously bold claims. It takes us on a journey from mass media control all the way to ancient mysteries, and then lands on the power that's hidden inside our own minds. So, let's dive right in.
So the author kicks things off with this quote, and it really sets the stage for the first part of the book. The idea here is that to even begin to understand the world, you first have to understand who's shaping the story we're all being told. And according to this book, that whole story starts with one single, incredibly powerful tool.
And that brings us to Section 1, Humanity Under Control. The book's first major claim is this: the number one tool for controlling the masses isn't force, it's fear.
The author argues that this isn't just happening by chance. There's a formula to it. You've got this constant fire hose of dramatic news, robberies, deaths, diseases. Then there's the use of alarmist colors, like bright red, to trigger our built-in danger response. And it's all wrapped in this endless repetition that the world is in chaos. The book's point is that this system isn't just informing us, it's designed to get us hooked on the very anxiety it creates.
As a prime example, the author points directly at The Economist, which is, one of the most influential publications on the planet. The book makes sure to highlight its ownership. It's partially owned by powerful families like the Rothschilds, to suggest that those infamous prediction covers they release every year, they might be a little more than just educated guesses.
So that leads us right into Section 2 and a central question the book poses. Are we just seeing predictions of the future, or are we actually being shown the blueprints for it?
And of course, the book dives deep into one of the most famous examples of this, The Simpsons. It calls out that episode from the year 2000 showing a future Trump presidency, and a poster from 1997 that seems to reference 9/11. There was even a book about the Ebola virus in another episode. So the author asks, at what point do all these so-called coincidences stop being, coincidences?
But it doesn't stop with cartoons. Not even close. The book then brings up this Illuminati New World Order card game from way back in 1994. It was just supposed to be a fun role-playing game about secret societies, but as the author points out, some of the cards are just chillingly predictive. Take this one, for instance. A card called Epidemic actually shows people in masks and quarantine signs. The text from another disaster card reads, "This is an attack to destroy any location. The target will be devastated." The book makes the case that this is a bizarrely specific description of something like the COVID-19 pandemic laid out in a game from the mid-90s.
But honestly, the most famous examples are these two cards. You've got the terrorist nuke card, showing an explosion in one of two towers that look an awful lot like the World Trade Center, and then the Pentagon card, showing the Pentagon on fire. Both of these created in 1994. That's a full 7 years before the attacks of September 11th, 2001.
Okay, and this is where the book takes a massive leap. We're moving into Section 3, Cosmic and Ancient Secrets. The argument basically becomes that this level of planning isn't just about modern society, it's rooted in secrets that have been deliberately kept from us for thousands of years.
For example, the author presents what he calls physical evidence for the existence of giants. He points to things like giant footprints that have been found preserved in rock. Some of them are up to 1.3 meters long. And then there's this find in Egypt of giant severed hands, which archaeologists estimate belong to beings that were almost 3 meters tall.
And that whole idea leads to this massive question: how in the world did ancient people build these things? We're talking about single stone blocks that weigh up to 1,650 tons in Baalbek, Lebanon. To put that in perspective, that's about the weight of 3 Boeing 747 jumbo jets. The book basically says that our standard history of primitive tools just doesn't add up.
Now, brace yourself for this next one because it's probably the most provocative claim in the entire book. The author says that things like coronavirus, the Ebola virus, and even unbelievably advanced tech like triangular spaceships and a full-body teleportation system, they aren't science fiction, they're patented. The book even gives you the patent codes and claims you can search for them yourself online. And the thing is, the book argues this whole idea of advanced technology isn't even new. It points to centuries of art, everything from ancient cave paintings to famous Renaissance paintings that seem to show what look exactly like modern UFOs.
It suggests that maybe, just maybe, humanity has had visitors for a very, very long time. So, after that whirlwind tour of media control, spooky predictions, and ancient secrets, the book makes a huge pivot. This is section 4, The Ultimate Truth. The author argues that the single most important truth isn't out there at all. It's actually right inside our own minds. The author explains this whole idea through the placebo effect. He tells the incredible story of a man named Mr. Wright, who had terminal cancer. His doctor gave him what he believed was a miracle drug, and his tumors literally melted like snowballs. Turns out, it was just water. His belief healed him.
But, and this is crucial, it works both ways. The book then explains the nocebo effect. In one study, asthma patients were given a totally harmless water vapor, but they were told it was an irritant. What happened? Nearly half of them started having asthmatic symptoms, and some had full-blown attacks. Their belief literally harmed them.
So, if our belief is that powerful, what are we even basing our beliefs on? Well, according to the book, get a load of this number, 0.0035%. That is the tiny, tiny fraction of the electromagnetic spectrum that our eyes can actually see. The book's point is that we are building our entire concept of reality on an infinitesimally small slice of what truly exists.
And that leads to the book's most central, challenging question. If our individual belief can cause a tumor to shrink or our airways to close up, what are our collective beliefs doing? What mass prophecies are we fulfilling simply because we've been told over and over again that they're true?
And that's how we arrive at the book's final conclusion. After all the conspiracies, all the hidden histories, the ultimate message is that the only truth is that you create your own. The real power isn't with some shadowy group in the background. It's with you and your ability to choose what you believe.
So, we'll leave you with the book's final parting question. In this vast, incredible, and sometimes confusing game of life, are you just a player reading from a script that someone else wrote for you? Or are you the director of the entire show?